So Erik ten Hag has lost his job as Manchester United's manager. I don't think I would ever celebrate a United manager losing the job. And I did hope that things would work out for Erik ten Hag. After 6 months, I thought he was onto something. He won United's first trophy since 2017. Knocked Barcelona out of Europe. Some really good performances and some stinking ones as well. There was a game against Liverpool when quite a lot of goals were conceded. I felt he was a good man and he was indulged, he was backed. He brought a lot of players in. He spent a lot of money, but it's the same old, this 2.5 year cycle where things don't work out as fans would hope and Manchester United's manager ends up losing his job. So Ruud van Nistelrooy comes in as interim. He's liked by the players. Maybe he'll do a Solskjaer, but at the moment the club's line is that it's just interim and Manchester United are looking for a more permanent appointment. You see lots of different names being linked with Manchester United. Before any of that, the rot has got to stop. The league table is horrendous. The European form, 1 win in 11, is just horrendous. Last season was bad, finishing bottom of the weakest Champions League group. This season has started. That 20 result was really bad at Old Trafford. The 2 away draws, I can live with them, and there's plenty of time to recover. And with Erik, as a journalist, he was always good to deal with. I would have liked him to be more expressive and more charismatic. But in private and even in interviews, I had good experiences with him. He never gave up on the job. He didn't want to be sacked. And I wouldn't have said that about all recent Manchester United managers. He believed absolutely in what he was doing. And he'll probably say that he didn't have the players to do it, or the players didn't want to do it. There'll be 2 sides to this. And what will be interesting will be the reaction from Manchester United's players. So Bruno Fernandes, I see, has come out and said something wishing him well, partly because he's Manchester United's captain. But as I said after the FA Cup final, I spoke to 6 or 7 players there, and not one of them said he should absolutely be sacked, and not one of them was adamant that it was going to be a success. Opinions were all somewhere in between, which shows a state of flux, and that has continued into this season. INEOS kept him as the man with the backing of an absolute majority of Manchester United fans, but 4 wins in 14, it's nowhere near good enough. The football's not good enough. The team are not scoring enough goals. We're seeing repeat issues, concern about in-game management. West Ham on Sunday was fantastic in the first half. It's not Erik ten Hag's fault that the players didn't put the chances away. Equally, in the second half, the manager's got to take some of the blame, not for the VAR decision, which was wrong, but for the switch in the team's performance, the inability to deal with West Ham's substitutes. And it's just not good enough. And I keep saying it's not good enough because it's not good enough, because a huge amount has been spent. These are some of the best paid players in European football, world football, and they just don't look like it's good value for money at the moment. It's a priority of United to get into the Champions League this year, because this team's not going to win the league. But baby steps first. This team looks incapable of dominating a single Premier League game. And the problems are not going to come away just because of a change of manager. And fans might greet any new appointment with optimism, just like they greet every single new signing with optimism. And we hope that Ugarte, who's on the front cover, greeted with optimism of a recent United We Stand, or Xerxes or Mazraoui. We all hope that they're going to be a success. But when they're not, people come back to me and say, McTominay should never have been sold, for example, or the recruitment's been poor, or this was a stitch-up with a certain agent to get that deal over the line. And the more you hear, the more cynical or sceptical you become about the way Manchester United is being operated. I think the support for INEOS is wavering. From their perspective, they asked for patience. It is still very early on. We're in a matter of months and not years. But I think opinions will harden about INEOS because this season has been so disappointing. Ruud van Nistelrooy is popular in the dressing room. I think the players will give it a real good go for him. He was a manager, although not with the experience of someone like Erik ten Hag. He was at PSV. I wrote a big piece about him in 2022. I know he was inspired greatly by Marcelo Bielsa. but also some more domestic managers in Holland. He does have the gravitas of being a former player, and now's his time to shine. But it's not going to be that easy. You hope that he'll do what Ollie did and everyone will start smiling and winning and singing his name. And I think fans will at the game. I think the Leicester game and the Chelsea game, fans will sing for Ruud van Nistelrooy. And I really hope it works out for him. He's a good man. I've spoke to him several times this season. He's written a foreword for my new book, which is fantastic of him. He's asked me about getting some copies. I better getting them now, hadn't I? Now he's Manchester United manager. And with Erik, he'll get a huge payoff. And it's only him going. They're not all going like what happened with Jose Mourinho or with Louis van Gaal. The existing staff are staying, Rennie Hacker, Darren Fletcher. So there's some good brains in there. The problem is the pressure and the demand for instant results, which is not unreasonable given the players who are there. I just worry whether these players are as good as they think they are or as good as some fans think that they are. I think the squad is still really, really lacking. Nowhere near the great Manchester United sides of yore. With Ten Hag, I think history will remember him pretty affectionately. He won 2 trophies. That win against Manchester City was significant. It's one of the great results in Manchester United's modern history, the post-Ferguson era. Because I think United were 9-1 to win that game and won it, and in some style, using players who'd come through the academy. So looking forward, you've got Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo and Rasmus Højlund. Very exciting, but still very young. They're going to make mistakes. You've got Bruno Fernandes, probably the top class player at the club. Starting to struggle beyond that, because even players we might have thought were top class are struggling a bit. Martinez without Varane has looked less convincing. And Varane has obviously gone on as well. We're always in this cycle of get rid of the deadwood and things will somehow be better. We're just about to approach these sunlit uplands, and it's not happening for Manchester United. It happens for every other club. You know, Barcelona can go into a massive mess and come out of it relatively quickly, whereas Manchester United is still stuck in the mire. And it is harder in the Premier League because opponents are tougher and more balanced and more resourced than ever. But United continues to be in this cycle, and I have no immediate answers here. I mean, I'm not in the position to be making those answers either, but it is so frustrating for fans. I think fans were very supportive towards Erik ten Hag. They sang his name. Outsiders would say, how's he still at a job? Well, he was. There wasn't a huge demand for changing the manager all of the time. And we'll remember the good bits. Probably won't remember the bad bits as much because your memory can be quite selective, but there were some stinking performances from Manchester United under Erik ten Hag. We hoped it would be different. You know, when he came in 2022, that season had finished so badly under Ralf Rangnick, and it really looked good at the start. I remember Xavi Hernandez talking about how powerful Manchester United were after United had knocked them out of Europe. And I'm thinking, we're onto something here, but it just hasn't worked out. And this season has been a nightmare so far. It really has been really, really bad. So Leicester in the League Cup, Chelsea, PAOK, PAC, and Leicester again in the league. So 4 home games. So managers got to take advantage of them, because there's only Chelsea there who would fancy their chances, even against a weaker Manchester United. I wish Ruud all the best in his new job. I wish Erik ten Hag all the best as well. A decent human, in my experience. I wish things could have worked out more differently for him. But they didn't, and he'll have a bit of time now with his family and a nice big payoff as well. And for Manchester United, I'd love to see evidence that someday this is all going to stop and we can see the emergence of a great team again. I hoped it would be under Erik, but it wasn't to be. Until the next video, goodbye.